film.
Aang, is it Aang that they say in the yet another episode of Super Exponential Podcast. We're still trucking it. As always, I'm Kevin. Joining me is my co-host Sarah, as always.
I'm here, and there's 2 mics now.
Yeah, I know, and it took us a while to get it set up because, for whatever reason, so I'm using Audacity to record this, and it seems like it's a common problem that people buy actual physical hardware to use 2 or more mics, and I don't have that kind of money, so we had to do a virtual. You know, they have programs like Voiceometer and all that. Anyways, long story short, it took us a while to get it configured, but we finally got it.
The important thing is it sounds less like a potato.
Yeah, and it looks like our echoes reduced greatly. So hopefully this improves the quality a lot more. But enough about that. So today is a special episode.
It's a special day.
So Sarah had a brilliant idea, and this is up to you whether it's actually a brilliant idea or not. As I said in the last podcast, the last episode, I've never watched Avatar before, period. Sarah knows that, and she had a interesting proposal for me.
So, I have watched Avatar since ye old Nickelodeon days. I probably started right before season 3 came out. Maybe like a year before. Either way, doesn't matter. Followed the fandom for a long time. The biggest in-joke of the fandom right now that I've seen is there is no live-action movie in Ba Sing Se. That's because in, I think it was 2010, a live-action attempt was made.
By none other than M. Night Shyamalan, whatever his name is.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually another in-joke that I think the fandom is largely responsible for. Is they felt that he wasn't respectful to the series, so they did not have to respect his name. Which I don't think the new fans know, because some of the groups I'm in, like, you get in trouble for, like, making a pun of his name. And I didn't know that was a thing, because I was like, I just thought we disrespected his name because we didn't like him, not because of other reasons. But that's neither here nor there, I guess.
Yeah. So, I guess basically we're going to get a outsider's view on the movie.
Yeah, there's 1,000,001 takedowns that I've seen of this movie, but most of those takedowns and reviews, like, you know, when they're really slamming this movie, they're people who have already seen the series. I haven't seen a lot of takes, reviews from people who haven't seen the series. But what I have seen is in some of the groups I'm in, some people mention, I saw the movie and got curious about the show. So I kind of want to see how bad of a movie is it to an outside normal person in its own merits, not really knowing much about the show. So Kevin, how much do you actually know about Avatar, like plot-wise?
Very little. All I know is that stuff was going on and then the Fire Nation attacked. So
everything changed when
the Fire Nation attacked. Yeah, so that's about, and probably I've seen like 5 minutes of an episode or whatever whenever it came on Nickelodeon when I was, still watching it.
And you've been around me, so like some of the memes are just kind of unavoidable.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the first thing about the plot. I literally don't know. I never watched enough of it. I do know that at times it's serious and at times it's lighthearted. And but it seems like it is well regarded as a very, very good Western animation. So
for a lot of the shows in that time period, what I find pretty impressive about Avatar is that not only was it pretty big back then, but it had this incredible resurgence during the pandemic, like crazy good resurgence.
Yeah, that was like, and it wasn't just Avatar, but it was basically one of those main things because everybody wanted to it was like, well, I'll just rewatch Avatar again, and even though it was made how many years ago?
Like in 2005, I think is when it premiered.
Yeah, it's so long ago. It seems like it aged very well.
We were at Second and Charles last weekend, and there was a kid in there with her parents, and she's like, I want to know where the Avatar books are. We've been watching Avatar in class. And there's like a thing on TikTok. A bunch of teachers have been showing their students Avatar. And it's so great. I'm like, this is exciting.
Yeah, so it's like, it's something that came out in 2005 and it's still relevant. And
yeah, like kids still like it and adults still like it. And I think that's impressive.
It's relevant in 2021. That's amazing because it's just like very few shows been able to do that. Some shows just don't age that well. Coming if it came out back then, some of the themes don't age very well, especially with the way times change, society changes in general. So I have a lot of respect for that, for the show in regards to that. Still though, as far as plot wise and stuff, like I said, I know nothing about.
Which makes it a perfect time to just start his fandom experience off with this movie. I know a lot of mega fandoms, people have opinions on when you should watch what, like Star Wars, everybody knows you start with A New Hope. But if you don't know if you don't know Star Wars, you might go, oh, I'll just start with the first movie. Any Star Wars fan, they're like, don't start with that. Avatar fans, usually from my experience, have been like, don't watch the movie. Wow, thanks, Bella. Avatar fans, in my experience, have been like, don't watch the movie, or don't watch the movie before you watch the series because I don't want you to think the series is like the movie. And I don't, as much as I don't like the movie and I don't think it's a good representation of the series, I think the series is good enough. Bella, really? I think the series is good enough to stand up on its own, that once you watch like 2 episodes of the series, the movie is no longer going to be a barrier that keeps you from watching the show. Yeah,
I pretty much, even though I never watched Avatar, I know what people thought of the movie. And so I just know from an outsider's perspective that, yeah, the movie's bad, but I've never seen it. So it'll be interesting because I'm unfortunately or unfortunately going to watch this movie. And we're going to see how I feel about it after I've watched it, and whether it's, is it good from an outsider's perspective or is it still terrible?
Yeah, I'm not going to think less of you if you're like, it was okay.
Yeah, it's just like, usually with movies like that, if I see it and then I'm like, it was pretty good. I need to watch it a second time to make sure. Because something I did that with was Batman v Superman. I actually liked that movie the first time. And I saw it again. I was like, actually, this movie's garbage.
Martha.
How do you know that name? Why do you know that name?
Freaking Martha.
Oh boy. But yeah, so that's what this episode is gonna be basically just kind of a reaction episode, what I thought about it. So we'll see you guys back after. I can't even, I'm having a hard time even processing it. Like, I'm not being dramatic. I'm being dead serious. I can't. As someone who has never seen Avatar, that movie was bad. It was really, really bad. There's a lot of things wrong with it that for one thing, you want me to just start at the beginning? So here's the thing. I don't even know what happened. I'm being dead serious. I don't know what happened in the movie at all. I know a few things, but it just doesn't, I don't get it. I don't. So that kind of tells you right there that I don't know what was going on with the story.
And it's like a lot of little stuff too, because there's stuff that, like, I know because I've watched the show, and God, the first and only time I watched it 10 years ago when it came out, like, there was stuff I knew. So I kind of like just stitched together the parts in my mind, and I'm like, it's awful, but I guess I get it. But seeing somebody who doesn't know the show watch it and go, what the fuck just happened? I never really thought about it. But yeah, no, they explain less than I remembered that they explained. Like, they literally just, these are series of events that happen. Look at them.
It was just like basically the movie came down to there are people here and stuff's happening. And it was just like, you could tell that they were trying to tell some kind of story, but it was just a lot of just stuff pieced together, like with fucking duct tape and shit, and it was bad. So like, I wrote a few notes, and they're very crappy notes, but one of the problems that I noticed with the movie was that, man, the pacing was bad.
And then you asked me too. You asked if there was like, was this supposed to be longer? Did they cut it? Now, to my knowledge, as far as I know, no. There's no Snyder cut of this film.
There needs to be a Snyder cut, because holy fuck.
There were clips that were taken out, but most of those clips looked equally bad or explained nothing at all as well. I haven't seen any removed clips yet. that made me go, wow, if they'd had that in the movie, it would make more sense. Then again, this is the first time I watched film in 10 years, so maybe I need to go look at those again.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the good real quick. And there's not a lot of good. Like, I will say that well, first off, let me backtrack a bit. So when I, judging this film, I took a cinematography class when I was back in college. It's probably one of the only classes I actually did good in. It was very interesting. But watching this movie just put me right back in that state of mind. And there was just, there's a couple of good things. Not even a couple. It's like one or two. I really like the costume design. It looked like, it translated, from what I've seen of the cartoon clips and stuff, it looks like it more or less translated very well with a few weird design choices. Getting to that later. The only other good thing was probably the ending scene where they probably spent so as far as it looked like the budget went towards the costumes, and then the last 10 or 15 minutes of the movie with the big old wave that Ong, I'm saying that right? Ong?
That's how they say it in the film.
Aang, is it Aang that they say in the cartoon?
Yeah, but in this universe, it's Ong.
All right, Aang, Ong, y'all have to forgive me. Please don't rail on me about it.
No, it's okay. The fandom really considers this completely to be a separate entity.
Yeah.
So you can call him Ong, and it's factual for this.
Yeah, so Ong generates that big old wave in the ice water village. I didn't even get the name of that village. So, whatever. Look, that's all. That was all. And, one more thing. A lot of the scenery sets, even though some of them were CG, they actually look pretty good.
I like that you don't even know where the last fight took place, because in season 1 of the show, the whole thing is, we've got to get to the North Pole to teach Aang waterbending. We went through all of that in the movie, and you're like, I don't even know where the fuck we are. Yeah,
it's just like, they said they were going to stop in places and stuff, and then they just suddenly showed up in this ice village. And for one thing, I had to ask Sarah, I was like, wait, does water bending also involve you being able to freeze water? And she said yes. I was like, well, okay, I guess. I was thinking more along a riverside.
Yeah, because they really don't show you them doing that until you get to the Northern Water Tribe.
Yeah, so, I mean, okay, so I liked the costumes, the last 30 minutes, and the overall scenery. They look like they did a good job with it. It was pretty.
I think I was saying, the soundtrack kind of slaps. If I don't remember what movie it came from and just hear it, I'm like, that kind of slaps.
Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I don't even remember a lick of music from this. I just heard music, and then it was just like...
It's all like instrumental.
Yeah, but it didn't really... Usually I'm a big music aficionado, but I'm pretty sure the music was good. But I think with just everything else going on in that movie, I had a hard time even trying to appreciate the music because of how stupid everything else was.
They didn't use it that much either.
Yeah.
They mostly used it when there was narration.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so here's the bad, and my notes are all over the place. I wrote it as I was watching the movie. And, there was a little bit of backtracking notes, too, that I wrote when I thought about a scene from earlier. So, I said, first off, it's bad pacing. There's a lot of jumping around and stuff and a lot of suddenly type of cuts and all that, with no explanation. The fight scenes were, okay, so the fight scenes, I imagine in the cartoon, the fight scenes are really good. They didn't,
in the cartoon.
Yeah, they did not, and I'm going to say this with the fact that they're good. I can tell that they did not translate good at all into this live action movie. It was like watching a turn-based RPG almost. One person would do one thing and do this dramatic movement and all that stuff.
They move their arms for 5 minutes before anything happens.
Yeah, and it just seems like, and then they do an attack, and then Ong dodges it or blocks it, and then he does this little. I'm like, I understand the movements. They're supposed to actually mean something.
Isn't it called telegraphing in fighting? Whenever your opponent can tell what you're going to do based on how you're moving before.
Yeah.
Doesn't moving for 5 minutes before you go to bend a sickle of ice at someone kind of tell them that you're going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, but...
It doesn't even stand up as a martial arts thing, and I don't know that much about martial arts.
Yeah, it just overall, the fight scenes, it didn't translate that well to the... they were just not that good to me. I don't know what anybody else thinks. Like I said earlier, there were just jump cuts with no explanation. you jump from one scene to another. Next thing you know, you're in a different spot. The transitions. One of the things about movies that they need to have good transitions and stuff. There's always, style. There's certain character directors with weird transitions, like what's his name, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, his movies have all kinds of weird stuff, but you kind of get it. Here, it's just like it looks like they're supposed to explain something and they didn't. Whenever they jump cut or whatever. So one of the okay, so there's that, and then just some general stuff. Like I said, there was obviously a little bit of, I guess, whitewashing. Now I understand this doesn't take place in our world per se, but with the I went and looked at pictures of some of the characters, and then just seeing there seemed to be a good bit of whitewashing, and I don't know what else to say. It just seemed like there's a lot of, I think some of the actors did okay for what they were told to do, but I don't know. It was just a lot of I don't know. Maybe it was maybe there's a lot of miscasting. I don't know. There's a lot of stupid lines too that just incoherent, didn't make sense to the whole thing.
I like how the writing style is just repeating the same word within the sentence. We need to find teachers to teach you bending.
Yeah, they did a lot of repeating. Like the guy, I think it would say, I say, so the part where they got to the whole moon god spirit thing, they're like, well, are we going to go see the moon god? Yes, we're going to see the moon god. And what are we going to do when we see him? Well, you're going to have the pleasure of meeting the moon god. Like, that's a lot of talking about the moon god. It was weird. So it was just a lot of, I'm sorry, I laughed because in my next notes, I said, this is probably like midway in the movie where I said, I don't know what's going on. This shit sucks.
Even Exposition Dragon, the name I gave him during the movie, doesn't really give you exposition that well. But I feel like that's the only thing we can call the dragon spirit. He's the exposition dragon.
Yeah, I mean, he was supposed to be, he was just like, go here and then do this and do that. And it just seemed kind of like he was supposed to be a person carrying the plot, carrying the plot along and helping On go to his next destination, which is just like,
it's like it's supposed to be like, oh, let me tie these events together with this thread that isn't really a thread.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So going back to the fight scenes, I'm sorry. It was like, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if M. Night Shyamalan has ever directed an action movie, but it seemed, or whoever was doing the battle direction, but
I think Shyamalan did action movies after this one. I'm not sure. I don't know his full history. I know Split was his, and I think that one got okay reviews.
Yeah. I don't watch anything M. Night Shyamalan anymore, especially now, and this reinforced it.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So
I feel like a sadist.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it wasn't M. Night Shyamalan. Probably what do you call them, directors? The battle directors or whatever? I can't remember. Battle choreographers. I don't know if they've even seen the movie or whatever, but that ties in with the what I said earlier about the fight scenes don't make sense. There's a lot of moving around with their bodies, and the bending, the actual elements don't flow with the body. It's just kind of like their body does one thing, the element does another, and then it's just, the Earthbenders, they did all right. They pretty much did what they needed to do. But
you forgot that one scene where it was like 15 Earthbenders to move that little rope.
Oh yeah, that's right. The
main reason I remember that one is it's notorious, though, not because there was anything notable. I
just thought it was just a weird thing. There's a lot of misplaced stupid stuff in the fight scenes too, like a stone here, and and we were talking about it in the movie, a suspension of disbelief. And that movie there's none of that. I mean, the cartoon, more likely, you have it, but in this movie, no, it does. It's just when you start questioning a lot of stuff in the movie, that's when you know that there's no suspension. There's no suspension of disbelief. You're questioning everything. That's bad. That's very bad.
You know what? I think my favorite part was Zuko's. I can't say his name now. Zuko's big juicy lips. Like, there was a scene where he whispers to Zhao, and there's this tension there, and I'm like, what's going on? And later when he's the blue spirit, Zhao zooms in on his lips, and he's like,
Oh,
Let
that's who
go.
it is. Not his scar, because you're still wearing this mask, but the juicy ass lips or whatever.
Juicy lips.
And remember
of
what we were saying at
Zuko.
the dinner scene where he whispered to him, like he was gonna say, what did he say again? He's like, I will find
the Avatar, and my father
will accept me again.
accept me, and
If that's not the
you'll be
line,
on your knees.
yeah, you'll be on my knees and you will bow to me. And then right after that, with how close he was, you literally could have been, he could have just kissed him on the cheek and it would have been
like
natural.
He was just gonna.
Yeah, it would have been like, you will be bowing before him.
I feel like, given the tension in that scene, that would have been a better intimidation move at that point. I feel like a teenage boy would have actually done that.
That's asserting your dominance.
I don't
Is that
think
what that
Zuko
is?
would have done that, knowing the series, but I think a teenage boy in that situation would have been a little shit, and he would have fucking kissed the man and been like, "Fight me, bitch."
Would have been better if you kissed him on the cheek and T-pose and floated up in the air.
Use the Spider-Man.
Yeah, just jet up
the
the yeah. God, man. Oh yeah. So, and the other thing, the costume designs were good, but the what's her name, the princess Yue. Okay, so the first time you see Yue is from the back,
Penis hair,
and it just looks like a damn penis. And I'm pretty sure, and it's like, I was like, wow,
that's like a whole ass meme.
I imagine it is.
One of her lines I fucking remember. I don't even remember. I didn't even pay attention when we watched it just now. But I remember it from years ago. We need to show them that we believe in our beliefs as much as they believe in theirs. But her hair was like the only bad outfit that I saw. Just that one moment. I hope the designer's okay.
Yeah.
Because everything else looked good. The penis hair.
Yeah, that kind of killed the moment there for a minute. And then, I don't know. It's just like, I could say a lot about this movie, but I'm almost 100% sure that everybody else has said what I said. And it's, I mean, one more thing that I like, the uncle was pretty cool. Zuko's uncle or whatever. Pretty much the voice of reason for him, for a kid who's still kind of immature.
What if I told you he's like 9,000 times better in the actual show?
Oh, I imagine he is.
My god. He's the best.
Yeah. But I don't even know, man. This movie it was bad, y'all. It was very bad. It was, and this is me watching it, not having any knowledge of Avatar. It was bad. Like, pretty much 30 minutes in, I was like, oh, this shit is not going to be good. Like, with just how everything was happening and stuff. From them finding Aang in the ice to just suddenly teleporting to him going to the air temple, finding out all the monks he knew was dead. It just, that goes back with the bad pacing and all that. Stuff just happened to happen. And like I said, that's why I said at the end of the movie, like, I don't know what happened. This movie, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I literally don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure if you ask me tomorrow about certain stuff, I'd be like, what? That happened in the movie?
So, you know what's great, too? Like, I watched Cats. I've seen Cats a couple times. The 2019 Cat live action. And honestly, I think Cats was a way better time. Cats shouldn't have had a plot, but kind of had a plot. Kind of engaging. Some of the parts were catchy. Even the parts that didn't look visually pleasing were still kind of, it's kind of a mood. I guess. There's a lot that's been said about Cats.
So, isn't there supposed to be like a butthole edition of Cats?
It was a joke.
I know it was a joke.
There was a butthole edition. I would watch the fuck out of Butthole Cats.
It was like they were supposed to say,
God.
Because you couldn't see, like, even though they were it was CG. It was CG on top of the actors, right? But they didn't have, probably where their butts were shown, there was no butthole or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish there was a butthole cut of Cats.
I can tell you right now, as an owner of 2 cats, I hate to say, I see a butthole way more often than I want to.
So much butthole.
Yeah. So, actually, I'm kind of glad there is no butthole edition. Maybe, I don't know.
So like everybody, and something I picked up rewatching now that I didn't pick up originally, because I think originally watching it I was just kind of stunned that that's what was produced. Like, following it, I knew it was gonna be bad, the writing was on the wall, but you still want to believe that it's gonna be good, or be salvageable, or passable, so you don't think about it as much in your first watch. And everybody really wanted to have sex with Zhao in this movie. Everyone who talked to this man had some just seated romantic tension towards him. I guess not romantic, it was definitely sexual. I am positive that everybody on set wanted to bang that man because the way they would talk to him, and I guess it's because of the Daily Show, they were like, hey, I know you from the Daily Show.
Yeah, I keep forgetting he was on the Daily Show.
Yeah, he's on the Daily Show.
But, yo, the way he went out, man, he did not go out like a G, man. He just, I mean, like, so.
Joey Waterbenders.
Yeah, it was like 4 waterbenders. And he's like, all right, I'm going to take you guys on. And they just fucking drown him. It is hilarious as it is sad. I'm like, oh, man. Oh, well, I'll just watch you on the Daily Show again.
And, of course, I think it goes without saying that in the series, it's different. What happens to him is different. I think better.
As a matter of fact, I would say that's the only gruesome death, as if you want to call that gruesome, because they just put him in water
and straight up showed him getting drowned.
Yeah, they showed him getting drowned. I was like, is this a Nick movie? This is supposed to be a Nick movie, right? And they showed him drowning, and then he just falls to the ground and he's dead. And then the 4 of them walk off like job's done, and they just turn around and leave. Jump cut to the next scene.
Just fucking shrug, walk away.
Yeah.
I wonder who that Fire Nation soldier was.
So, yeah, it was just, oh, man. Uncle was cool, though. Uncle was very cool. I liked him throughout the movie.
We stan a king. I like how his character's so good that it's hard to ruin even as stripped down as the character was in this movie, and as little chances they give for him to actually do anything of merit or say anything of merit. Even with all of that, he's still the character that sticks out. Like, that is impressive.
Like, I don't know. It was weird because he was I keep calling him Uncle, and I'm just going to keep calling him Uncle, but.
He's Eero in the movie, but he's Iroh in the show.
Eero, okay. Well, I'm going to keep calling him Uncle because he's Uncle Awesome. That's probably the highlight of my film. Even though he had very little scenes, and I think he does, but his scenes were, really good. It was him pretty much just watching over his very, very angry nephew and stuff and just trying to advise him, trying to, steer him off this path of, I gotta impress my father. He's just trying to tell him, your father does not give a damn, dude. All right? It's time to move on. But, you
need to go home and watch season 1.
Yeah, I know. This is so bad, guys.
And then in season 2 and 3, when you cry like a bitch.
Just this movie. If you're wondering, if you're an Avatar fan and wondering from a non-Avatar fan's perspective if this movie was bad, the answer is yes, it is very bad. I'm not saying it to agree with people. I'm saying it because I had to suffer through an hour and 40 something minutes.
And I've met people in real life that unironically like this movie. Of the group I went with to see this movie, one of the dudes in that group came out and was like, I thought it was kind of cool. I'm going to buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray. And he bought it when it came out. And when I worked retail, people would come in the store and they're like, do you have the movie? And I'm like, what? And, it's retail, it's corporate America. So I'm like, yeah, it's over here.
Yeah, it's probably just mothers buying their kids well, I'm not going to buy them this
males. It was older males, ages 25 to 30, a couple in their 40s and 50s.
Right.
But it was almost older, I guess 25 is a young male, whatever. It was young to old males, exclusively that demographic. And I don't, maybe it's because I don't know, how critically they consume. I'm assuming they don't consume media critically. I can't turn off my critic brain.
Right. It's just,
it's a real struggle that I have.
Let me tell you, there are movies that are just so bad they're good. And there's going to be some movies that I think is good. And this because, okay, so for example, for me, a so bad it's good movie is Pootie Tang. And I know that movie's bad. 100%. I agree with everything. But every time when I still had cable and it was running on one of the channels, I would be watching it. Because I what's the word?
Unironically?
Unironically. I can't even talk.
Say it. Pause and say it one more time.
Unironically.
Now say I unironically.
I can't do it. God.
Damn.
This is embarrassing. Okay, so even though it's a bad movie, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, and I know it's a bad movie. Another one Now this one I just like the movie Speed Racer. That did bad in theaters. It got bad reviews. I love Speed Racer. I think everybody's crazy that says that's a bad movie because it's not.
I've seen like 2 minutes of it and it was just awkward wiping across the screen and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it was. I will say that it was made by they're called the Wachowskis now because they identify as female now. Both the sisters. The Wachowskis made that Speed Racer movie, and it was all CG. It was like straight up CG. But for some reason I enjoyed the movie, and I'm just like, and I will stand by it. And I'm pretty sure that yes, it probably is bad, but for just whatever reason, I have that little condition in my brain that says no, it's actually a good movie.
It's like Cats. Like I know Cats is a bad movie, but I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a fun little jaunt. All right, Pootie Tank's a fun little jaunt. Speed Racer's a fun little jaunt. I want to throw myself in a fucking volcano after watching this movie. That's probably the best as I can describe it.
I like how watching the movie, it was just hearing you say stuff like, you realize I have no idea what's going on.
Like, I was every time when something would just suddenly happen, like the sudden jump cuts with no explanation. Like, so the scene that had me getting ready to tear my hair out was when Zuko was thought to be dead. And then I'm thinking the uncle thought he was dead too. Then a scene happens with Ong and them, and then they come back and boom, he's just and then
he's just casually
Zuko's just standing there casually, like nothing happened. There was no explanation. There was no like build up to the fact that he's alive, or there was it would have been a better, like I could do the scene better. I would have just had him, a random soldier, come up to his uncle and be like, "Are you alone?" He's like, "Nobody's following you." He's like, "Good." And then he takes off his helmet and it's Zuko.
What if I told you that's exactly what they do in the animated show?
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
You know why? Because it wasn't written by a fucking idiot.
I don't believe. Okay, Sarah said that. Did you say that M. Night Shyamalan watched the series and he was a fan?
He had several interviews and is featured in some of the extras on one of the original DVDs for the series, where he mentions being a huge fan of the show.
He is a fucking liar. I don't have
like,
proof.
Apparently he watched it with his kids. He sat down with the creators. At some point, I assume that they were not part of the process. I don't know the full drama. I don't know if there's any reliable sources that actually have them talking out and out about it. They've alluded to it. They've alluded to the controversy because, the internet was around. They were really aware that the fans weren't happy from the casting on. Like, the fandom was not happy.
I think there's a lot of miscasting.
I will say the fandom was
especially the instance of white. I'm not saying that the whole movie was whitewashed. There were some instances of clear whitewashing because, Sarah told me earlier that this show is kind of based on Asian culture. And you can tell martial arts.
When all the background characters are Asian.
And, you working with the spiritual energy, chi, and all that stuff. There's a lot of Asian influence in this series. So it's just kind of weird to see, there's some whitewashing. And then, not like I said, there's some instances, like for me, for example, I can ignore that if they do a good job and stuff, but there was just a case where it's just like, I looked at one picture and I looked at the other and I was like, well, this is...
The fandom was so against the casting that back in the day, like, if you were in any of the discussions and you dared to bring up the fact that, hey, these are kids, like, you would kind of get your ass handed to you.
Okay, so here's the thing, and here's also another thing. Over the years, you grow to this opinion. Back then, you try to blame the actor for doing a terrible job and stuff. But people got to realize now, and I'm I will defend, like, it's not the actors, man. Most of the case, it's the directors that's telling them what to do. They're just working with what they have. And
I feel legitimately bad for these kids.
Yeah, I really do.
To this day,
because
they're not even kids now.
This could have been a Jake Lloyd incident for these kids. Now, if you don't know who Jake Lloyd is, he was in episode 1 of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Oh, right. Sorry, I had to make sure I didn't pound the table or anything. But yeah, the whole Jake Lloyd thing, especially with over the years how he became mentally sick. Yeah, I think he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And it was just sad because he did episode 1 was his one and only movie, I believe. and people trashed him for that, and then they just continued with him for years, and then it grew to this point, and it's just like, and that's kind of, and it's just kind of like when I realized, like, okay, I really don't think this is really the actor's fault. I really think it's the directors. They're just doing what they can. Not to mention that Jake Lloyd was a kid, and George Lucas more or less just ruined this. If he had any aspirations for being an actor, it got ruined because they're gone now. They were gone from that movie. And
the Avatar fandom's backed off a lot since. Like, most people are pretty chill about it. They hate the movie, but they basically say it doesn't exist. But there are still memes of the kids, and I don't even care that they're adults now. I hate fucking seeing the memes with the kids' faces. Like, oh god, that's just, imagine you're like a kid, and Avatar season 2 was out when the movie was in talks. By the time casting came out, 3 was either halfway through or something. Either way, like, it was, it was a popular show. So imagine you're a kid, and this is your favorite show, and you get an audition at this show. Or even if it's not your favorite show, it's a show that and you're, like, super excited because your parents take you to this audition, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be Katara, yeah! And from the word go, people are already mad about the casting.
Yeah.
About something you can't really control because you're a child. And then the movie happens, and it's fucking terrible.
Like, I'm pretty sure these actors even knew what they were looking at. And they probably looked at the script and was like, what? And they probably watched this movie and said, really, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
And then, because they're under contracts, they have to go to the interviews. They have to go to the press releases. They can't say anything bad about the movie.
And
I would love to see, like, a takedown by them.
And then that these people are going to do post-interviews after the movie's released and how it's bombed and all that, and ask them about it, and they're contractually obligated not to say a bad thing about it. Or,
even now, like, if you want to be in the industry, you still have to be careful who you speak badly about.
Yeah.
Because if you want to ever land another gig again, it doesn't matter that you worked in that film years ago. You still have to be careful. I would love to hear an actual takedown by anyone that was in the movie, but I don't think we're going to get a lot of it. I think there's been little rumors and stuff, but I don't think I've seen anything confirmed.
I think a lot of people, even the actors themselves, are just going to probably be like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about that movie. It kind of reminds me of the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, God.
Where John Leguizamo, I'm sorry, I mispronounced it. But, I don't remember the other guy who played Mario, but man, they do not want to talk about that movie. And I can understand why.
It's like they won't even fucking joke about it situation.
Yeah. It's just like, and not a lot of actors are going to say, I mean, there are some instances like George Clooney still apologizes to this day about Batman and Robin because that was a bad movie. So, but, yeah, I mean, there's just nothing more I can say. This movie was just bad from a lot of perspectives. Like I said, there were a few things that were good, but those things are not enough to make this this is definitely not a recommended movie. I would steer clear of it. If you're not a fan, don't. Because as a non-fan talking to another fan, the non-fan talking to another non-fan, this will probably drive you away from the series if you watch it. Luckily for me, I know just from the things I hear that the series is good. But
and you're pretty objective.
Yeah,
and you want to see what actually happened with you, eh?
If anything, this kind of reminds me of Watchmen. So my first exposure to Watchmen was the actual movie. Now, everybody said they didn't like the movie and stuff. I actually enjoyed the movie a little bit. It was a nice little jaunt. It was from someone who didn't read the comics, I thought. And then, I thought it was pretty good. So then I read the comics, and I was like, oh, yeah, I can see where people got mad and stuff, especially with the end, with the instead of it being, they changed the ending from it being, do you care if I spoil Watchmen?
I mean, I don't.
Okay.
I guess if the listeners do, all
right, so if you really, really, really don't want to hear spoilers for Watchmen, just skip a little bit. But basically at the ending of the comics, New York City gets destroyed, and the comics is destroyed by this alien that Ozymandias teleports from some other dimension that just died on teleportation and just ruined New York City. In the movie, they changed it to be a little more modern, and it is made like somewhat of a nuclear explosion or something that he did or something. And there was a lot of people were like mad about that. Luckily, with the new Watchmen series on HBO, they stick with the actual comics and not the movie. So, but yeah. So long story short, movie sucked. I'm almost 100% sure it does not represent the series very well at all. After seeing it, I know now why people ignore this movie's existence. This is like, for me, the equivalent of Devil May Cry 2 in the Devil May Cry series, because that game was awful, and I refuse to acknowledge its existence, even though I just did just now. So, but yeah, so numerical score like a 1 out of 10.
And I think to this day, M. Night still has not come on the record to say, yeah, the movie wasn't that great. I think he's still like, but a lot of fans liked it. A lot of people liked it. The critics didn't like it. They're just unfair. The critics hate me. No, bro. I wonder with hindsight. I mean, I don't know.
There's some people that are just going to defend their creative vision till the end of times. You see somewhere where they're given a second chance, kind of like with Zack Snyder and his Justice League, which I thought was going to be terrible. Like I said, because I was like, you do realize that this man made some pretty not good movies, right? He can write a good banger first movie, but when he makes a sequel, man, he fucking nosedives. But then he got to make his version of Justice League, and I was impressed. That movie was really good. This movie does not need a Snyder cut. This movie just needs to be buried and not happen. I find it kind of funny that they were planning on doing, having sequels and stuff. But
yeah, they really ambitiously set up for those sequels, which the story as a narrative is like a big 3-part story, but like they just kind of assumed that they already had those sequels in the bag.
Like, I'm almost pretty sure. I think the funny thing is, because like, how it's common nowadays, for even before a movie gets released, that some movies they already announce a sequel and all that. Like, even before the movie gets greenlit.
And a lot of it's like big, heavy hitter properties. They're like Marvel and Disney. Like
yeah. Well, with Marvel and Disney, you expect some kind of quality, overall good quality from them. But there's some movies within the Marvel universe that aren't good, like Thor 1 and 2. And I personally wasn't a fan of Age of Ultron, but for overall, when you see a Marvel movie, you can almost always expect a good quality, well-written story, because these people actually care about the source material. M. Night Shyamalan does not care. He says he was a fan of the series and all that. I don't believe it one bit, because this movie would have been a lot better if he was. Just do yourself a favor, do like what I should be doing, and going to watch the entire Avatar series, because, man, that left a bad taste in my mouth.
You wash it away with at least season 1.
Yeah, I know.
That's your prescription. I am the sadistic doctor that gave you the bad prescription. Now I'm going to give you the good prescription.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy watching people watch a terrible movie and beg for mercy. I did give Kevin a safe word. I should have recorded that. I did give Kevin a safe word at the beginning of the film. You guys know, this wasn't just outright cruelty. There was a safe word. Yeah,
but I chose to watch the movie because I was just like,
I don't remember the safe word.
For one thing, I don't remember the safe word. And number 2, I was just like, I'm just going to stick it out, because this is just, I was about ready to get out in the 30 minutes into the film.
Yeah, because that was the first time you asked me to pause it, because there were multiple times when you were just like, pause it. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to make sense of my thoughts, and I still don't know what happened. It was just like,
God, imagine seeing that in a theater where you can't even pause it.
Yeah.
Or like discuss it.
There's a lot of stuff where
you're held captive.
Okay, yeah. But there's just a lot of stuff where it's just like, what? And you don't have time to process it, because it's just bad. The pacing's bad. The direction is bad. So, yeah, don't recommend it. Don't watch it. It's a terrible movie.
Go watch Cats instead. Shit. It's
It's
fun.
No, go watch Pootie Tang. That's a fun movie. It's a bad movie, but it's a fun movie. You'll love it, I promise. You'll laugh. You'll say how bad it is, but you'll laugh and you'll love it. But
Kung Fury was good too.
Kung Fury is a good movie, and it is so bad.
We stan Hacker Man.
But
Hacker Man for life.
Oh man, no, actually, no. Did I say? I thought you, for some reason I mixed up with Kung Pao. I thought you were talking about Kung Pao.
Kung Pao's good too, but Kung Fury is great.
Kung Fury is great. It was a great movie for 30 minutes. Although the ending dragged a little bit for Kung Fury for me, but
Hacker Man.
Yeah, Hacker Man was so cool. And then Barbariana, when they introduced her, and then the thing, I like lost it at that scene. Do you remember that scene where where her name came and then the big ass rifle just slid behind her name? It was just like this rocking song, and I was just like, I just died.
It knew it was absurd. It set out with one goal, and that goal was absurdity.
Yeah. Go watch that too if you have a chance, and go watch Kung Pao too if you can.
Watch anything.
Watch anything but this. Go watch Speed Racer. Go watch Mortal Kombat again. Don't watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That's a bad movie.
I was about to say, do you hate that one more?
You know what?
I know this wound is fresh. And it's like asking you, do you hate having your arm ripped off more than when you had your leg ripped off? But I'm asking you to rate your pain. Okay, so I think this is interesting because I don't know. Because I could tear the shit down out of Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But I don't know. I have to think about it. I might have to put a poll up and see, which movie was worse. But no, this was a pretty, for its time, it was a bad movie. You know what? And it's not even a good comparison for Mortal Kombat because you were familiar with the source material.
Yeah, I was familiar with the source material, and trust me, I was very disappointed with.
Are you familiar with Cats?
No, not at all.
Should we watch Cats?
We could probably watch. Tell you what, we'll watch Cats because I'm not familiar with Cats either. We'll watch it about let's give it 2 episodes from now, or we could go on ahead, watch it, and then record it, and I'll put it in the back burner and just throw it up later.
At some point we're gonna watch Cats.
Yeah, so yeah, just wait for. Okay, so we'll do that next. Yeah, Cats.
I might buy a copy of Cats. I might buy a copy.
Yeah.
It's so bad good. Like, oh god, it just So
when me and Sarah planned this, I was just about to say, I don't care, but I don't give a fuck about buying bad movies, man. I'll buy it. And then she was like, no, don't. And I'm kind of glad she did because I would have.
Yeah, I was like, no, don't spend. The fact that I'm going to use Netflix to view the Avatar movie is already bad enough. The fact that I used my Netflix account.
Yeah, this is in your history.
Stream it is already bad enough. Like, I don't even want to give them the view for this. But we're doing it for art.
Yeah, we're doing it for the art. We're doing it for y'all. Because we suffered so you guys don't.
I didn't suffer. I found it fucking hilarious. Mostly because I've had 10 years to come to peace with this.
I only need 10 years to come to peace with it now. This was a train wreck.
Yeah, I've had 10
So
years.
Avatar is like every bad thing you can think of. You can describe anything. And I mean, that's all I can say. That's all I got about it. Sarah, do you have anything else to say? Because I need to go eat and I need to just go think about some good things in my life. And
yeah, I've got a closing line. This is a warship.
So with that, as always, thank y'all for listening. Remember to follow us on our Facebook page. This is when we broadcast. This is always going to be on Spotify, Anchor.fm, and other. It's also on Breaker, but for some reason Facebook is not very friendly with the Breaker link. So just keep that in mind. I mean, even though nobody probably watches it on Breaker anyway.
I don't even use Breaker.
Yeah, I don't even know. I never even heard of
Breaker.
I don't know.
Actually, I've heard of it, but
we'll be uploading these episodes to YouTube very shortly. We just got verified finally. But other than that, thank you for joining us for my review of this awful movie. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope y'all have a better day than I did. See you later.